Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. Seems like it's that time again where I have to give the financial lecture. Alright, it's a reoccurring thing. It's very tiring having to constantly remake this video. I get new subscribers, and with every new subscriber, they all have their armchair quarterback fix for my situation. Francisco Aguirre, sorry if I mispronounce it. He believes he has the solution to the homelessness crisis. Well, there you go. All one needs is a good, rousing pep talk and up and at 'em speech. The problem with this is that every last single thing that gets told to me in these motivational speeches, I've already lived. Okay, I don't need somebody to preach me happy, to give me the Tony Robbins lecture. Let's just go over what he says here. It's the usual stuff. It's a lot of you chose to be homeless, which is absolutely ridiculous. He definitely seems to have this very disconjointed concept of how much it costs to live. I believe down here in one of his comments, he says that an apartment, that you can get an apartment, what was it, for like $400 or $500? Is that it, Frank? $400 or $500. Let's read what he has to say. It says all these bad things exist only in your mind. Okay, so what happened to me with the police? What happened to me in jail? I understand that you're new to the channel and that you don't know. It didn't happen to you. Okay? So this isn't a situation of just simply having a bad day. Okay? It's been a very bad life that I have struggled and worked to improve for over 30 years. Okay? Apparently people like you seem to gloss past this, to just push that aside as if it was never been said or if you never heard it. It didn't happen to you that I'm aware of. I think over in the McDonald's video, some woman over there was telling me that all I needed to get an apartment is just simply eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Well, there you go. Apparently all of the jars of peanut butter and jelly and loaves of bread that have been handed out to the homeless thus far, for some odd reason, just didn't fix homelessness. I'm not gonna get too deep into what has happened to me. That's a very difficult thing to talk about, and I'm trying to reach some points here. These things happened in your mind. Unless you've been inside my mind, then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let's see. Dude, you are blaming, what is this, all these bad things. Dude, who are you blaming for the reasons you don't have a small apartment? That would be the government and corporate greed. How much do you think it costs? Well, you've said in your fantasy response here that $400 or $500. Would you be willing to post a link to those places? I'm just curious. Would you be willing to? And also, in case you didn't know, there are programs that will pay your first and last month's rent. Now, I don't know how long it's been since you looked for an apartment. I don't even know what part of the world you're in, number one. Okay, this is South Jersey. And, hold on a second. This is South Jersey. Very modest, quasi-ghetto apartments. one bedrooms, or even a studio efficiency, they start at around $1,000. Okay, I don't know where you're at now. There might be in Camden, certain parts of Philadelphia, the only sections, Strawberry Mansion, Kensington. There might be what would loosely be called an apartment there for $400 or $500. Unless you've been living under a rock, then you know exactly why it is extremely dangerous living in those sections of the world. It's like another Iraq over there. Also, what was it? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the news, there was an infant who was mauled by a raccoon. Okay, raccoons aren't really small, and this raccoon was large enough to drag the child off of a bed and across the bedroom floor. It's, you know what, the building probably is condemned or would be condemned. It's a slumlord situation where tenants know they have to pick and choose their battles, something somebody else is telling me. Have to pick and choose their battles. If you make too much of a stink, then guess what? Code enforcement, L&I, they will come in and they will shut the whole damn place down, evict everybody, and you're out onto the street. See what I'm saying? But then again, maybe you don't see what I'm saying. Because from just gathering from how you're speaking, I don't really think you're old enough or have been in a situation enough to have to afford these things, you know? I'm not saying that you're rich. I'm not saying that you're rich. But it just sounds to me like, you know, I don't think the burden of cost of living is squarely on your shoulder. Something that I've said to you that you have not denied yet, so I guess it's true. I guess that assertion is true. What else do you say here? People who do have homes have them to learn patience too. I guess it's a typo or something. I think I'm getting what you're saying, though. Your life won't change until you change it, man. Get into a shelter. Eat as little as you have to in order to save up to get around $1,000 or $2,000. Okay, I get what you're saying. Shelters are extremely dangerous. The criminally insane are in shelters. There is a very good reason why we homeless don't go to them. Like right now, we're in code blue, and the police always think that they're doing us some sort of favor, you know, by forcibly rounding us up and sending us over to shelters. There is a reason why we don't go to them. Terrible things happen in there. Things that, once again, you know nothing about because you don't know what it is to have to take care of yourself like that. Eat as little as possible. I can understand the concept of sacrifice now to have something else later. I get it, so I get where you're coming from with that. Here's the problem with that, though. Hold on a second. Okay. Here's the problem with that. How long? How long would you have me eat like that and live like that? Because what you're saying, it comes from an assumption that if I make the sacrifice now, accrue the money, get the apartment, then somehow additional money will come later. You see, there are government programs that'll pay first and last month's rent. It's never been a problem of me not being able to, acquire the money to get the apartment. It's all about staying in the apartment. That's the problem. Everybody's pep talk, everybody's armchair solution, it never ever passes the and then test. That's what I call it. Save up a bunch of money. Okay, and then? I was checking out some homeless videos on YouTube. I believe in California, the Anaheim bike trail. There was one guy, he summed it up very good. After he suffered his tragedy in life, went and got an apartment, exhausted his funds. Okay, so he was in the apartment now. In the apartment. But he exhausted his funds, and then he got evicted. Okay? So I could accrue the money, get inside the apartment, but then what happens when I exhaust my funds? You see what I'm saying? You have to have enough money. As a matter of fact, the government program wouldn't even help me get inside of an apartment because you have to be able to prove to them that your income will be able to sustain it, because they're not in the business of just simply handing out money just to have you get evicted a couple of months after they helped you. Also, one of the things, there's a lot I want to cover, but I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible. Also, there's a concept that I talk about on this blog. I clandestinely refer to it as the free-range chicken conundrum. In our weird society cares more about the life and quality of life of an animal, just about any animal. A free-range chicken, I could go up to the counter right now and I could order a chicken sandwich. Now, while true, PETA doesn't want any animal killed, and there's a whole thing that goes into that, but they also advocate that chickens that are to be, slaughtered and stuff like that, they need to have a free-range life. It is true, the quality of the food supply does depend on the chicken not just simply being born, incubated, held within a cage for the entirety of its life, and then sent straight over to slaughter. The chickens will become, sick and, things like that. So it does ultimately affect the human food supply. Nevertheless, the reason that the animal rights advocates advocate for it is more about quality of life. So the chicken sandwich, I'm saying all that to say this, the chicken sandwich that I would order, there are activists out there who care more about the life that chicken led than me, the homeless man that is ordering it to eat. Okay, I could use my fund. I do have enough money to rent a room. That room would annihilate my income. You would have enough left over. It would be a mixture of supermarket and food bank food. So I would have a room to live in. I would have enough food to not starve to death. Okay? And then that would be it. I would be locked in a box. Do you understand? There is no life to be lived. You go on in your text here to talk about the sad life that I'm living, that I don't have to live this kind of life. Thank you very much for that, but I don't think you're thinking it all the way through, the kind of life that you are nosing me toward. Okay? I don't think you're really giving a lot of thought to that. We would end up locked in a box where you wake up, fix yourself something to eat, sit in a chair, I don't know, maybe look out the window, go nowhere, and do nothing. These phones that you speak of, I wouldn't even have them. There wouldn't be any money left. Even places like this that have free Wi-Fi, how would I get to them? There's no money for transportation. I just had to spend $647 repairing my bicycle. Okay? That repair would not have happened. I would now be completely without transportation whatsoever. There's no money for bus tickets, a bus pass. You are simply locked in a box like a chicken that is born, incubated, and raised in a chicken cage. Not even a large pen. It's a cage maybe twice the size of a shoebox. Okay? That's it. That's its entire life in that one cage. So that's not a life that I would want to live. So I will agree that there are certain aspects. Hold on, I hope I'm not going to cut the damn camera off. There are certain aspects to my life that I will agree that I have made choices of. I do choose to live this current way rather than be locked in a box. So if that's the choice that you're speaking of, well then yes, I do choose that. But no, to want to be homeless, no. I've never chosen that. 30 years work experience, working multiple jobs at once. You don't want to acknowledge this. I understand that. I really don't know where you get your well, I know where you get it from. It's a lot of knee-jerk stuff here. What else do you say here? But now you just gonna let yourself die this way. I really don't see an out. I really don't see an out. Clearly not smart, and it's hard for someone or for people to care for someone who doesn't care about themselves. I don't have a reason to care for life anymore. I used to have aspirations. I used to want a nice house, a nice car, and despite my best efforts, that didn't happen. But you know what? I didn't just simply throw my arms up. I lowered my expectations. Okay, how about a simple car, a nice apartment? That didn't happen despite my best efforts. And again, I lowered my expectations. The point that I'm making here is that my expectations were lowered to the point where I was living homeless in the woods, riding a bicycle. Okay? I can't get any lower. I can't get any lower. I can't get any more humble. This is as low as it goes. And apparently now this isn't permissible by society standards. What else do you say here? Yeah, you go on, ha ha ha, and you sound like an old man, old man making excuses for 30 plus years. No, I didn't make excuses for 30 plus years. I paid taxes on income tax, a great deal of it, for 30 some years. Dude, get over it. The world is greedy and the world is cruel. We agree there. And no, there is some apartments that, yeah, $400 to $500 a month. Please post a link. I would love to see it. That aren't in a crime-infested. I mean, I get it, and I'm not trying to live in Bel Air, okay? But no, I'm not living in only Strawberry Mansion, Kensington. No. First and last month's rent, more delusional stuff. You can sit and cry yourself to sleep, blah, blah, blah. Get a job at the McDonald's. Yeah, I guess you weren't really paying too close attention to my videos. I have worked at McDonald's before. I've worked at Walmart before. I've worked about 55 different jobs in my entire life. I'm 45 years old. Okay, a lot of those jobs were worked multiple jobs, second jobs. I'm not going to sit here and just simply go through every last single job. I will say this, though. A number of years ago, I sat in the quiet recesses of my mind and just simply went over every last single job I've ever worked in my entire life and got extremely honest with myself. And I asked myself, how many of these jobs can I honestly say I was responsible for my own termination? 5. After I'd gone through every last single one, I'll say about 5. 4 definitely. There was a 5th one that was kind of, it was just as much the boss's fault, just as much the company's fault as it was mine. But you know what? I'm not going to split hairs. I'll own it, So I'll say 5 jobs out of the 55 jobs that I've held that I can honestly say that I was personally responsible for. So, the rest were just simply unlawful terminations. I'm not going to go through every last single one of these jobs. I'm sorry, but I have no reason to lie to you. You'll either believe or you won't believe, and you probably won't believe because it's easier that way. It's comforting to you to hold and cleave to an idea, a prejudice, a stereotype that homeless people self-sabotage. You know, I'll agree there are some that are out there. As a matter of fact, when the homeless are being interviewed on a lot of shows, I noticed when the news correspondent, as they're talking to them, interviewing them about, what led to their situation, you can kind of tell the part of their story where they may have self-sabotaged themselves, because that's where they kind of began to stammer and just kind of, I had family and we didn't get along, and there's probably a whole long story behind it, that there's usually alcohol and drugs and fights over money and a whole bunch of other stuff, so when they begin to stammer, that's usually a pretty good indicator of self-sabotage. I'm not going to sit here and make myself out to be the Jesus Christ of homeless people, he who is completely faultless and innocent. I've got some regrets in life. I've made a few mistakes, but none of the mistakes that I made tantamount to homelessness. In other words, I didn't do anything that I can honestly say was self-sabotaging to the point that it would leave me in these dire straits, living in the woods, in a tent, homeless. I worked hard, gave my best energy, my best efforts to my employers, dedicated, loyal, and apparently that did not translate into something I could take to the bank. When I was thinking about doing this video, you got me thinking. As I was reading your comments earlier, I kind of flashed back in my head to when I worked at the Hilton, Atlantic City Hilton. I worked in the security department there, and the security director. Hold on a second. I want to see how much time I got here. I'm at 22 minutes. This has gotten really long. The director liked me. That's what I'm getting at. She liked me a lot. I'd come in the office, we'd sit, we'd talk, and apparently, for however much she liked me, this never translated into something that I can take to the bank. Okay? I can't pay the rent with her admiration. I can't say to my landlord, my boss admires me, so give me a break on the rent. It doesn't work that way, okay? Okay, so for whatever your admiration is, I need something I can take to the bank. Thank you very much for acknowledging the fact that I am so dedicated and I do my job with such professionalism. But why won't you give me something that I can take to the bank? See? It's 12 Years a Slave. It's every prejudice. It's every prejudice movie that's ever been out there. All you want to do is simply profit off of us. Diane Reeves sings a song called Old Souls. I believe she wrote it. In it, there's a very poignant lyric. You throw away the oyster just to wear the pearl. Very deep. Very apt analogy, indeed. You take from us minorities the parts that you feel are the best, and you just throw the rest of us away. Okay? Obviously, my professionalism wasn't enough that you're willing to pay for it. You're just another greedy corporation. So, dude, I'm sorry, but your argument just simply falls to pieces. This isn't a situation that's caused by a lack of hard work. I worked hard my entire life, and that never translated into anything that I can take to the bank. All right, this is long. Total Control, 871. Oh yeah, one last bit. You accused me of having a phone, and that I should use that phone to get apps and things like that. Unfortunately, no. This phone is extremely old, and there is absolutely nothing that I could do to, see, I'm trying to click onto like an uplink thing here. Basically the browser's too old. It's just too old, and, what can I say? It won't, It won't update. So no, I can't download apps. So that was just another one of your assumptions. Try not to assume so much. You might actually learn something. Total Control 871.